Now I'm going to introduce you to a concept or a rule that's going to stay true for the rest of the interaction process. And this concept is the objective of the very first interaction that you have with a customer in the cold call. So the purpose of the cold call, your objective, is to schedule your next interaction. So now, this objective, schedule your next interaction, is actually going to be a rule for the entire interaction model. In every single one of your interactions you have with a customer, one of the things you're going to do is always make sure you schedule your next interaction. But in the cold call, it is the primary objective because you want to move from an unplanned and unexpected interaction to a planned and expected interaction. Basically, you want to move from the interaction interrupting your day for both you and your prospective customer to a time and a place where you guys can both count on the meeting and look forward to it. This is going to allow you to prepare for your interaction. This is going to allow you to set an agenda for your actual meeting. It's going to allow you to move from a random contact inquiry to something that's planned and it's both on your calendar and their calendar. One of the things you want to make sure to do in the cold call is to really not provide any value. The objective is only to schedule your next interaction, and that's the only thing that you should be thinking about. Now, it's possible that if somebody calls you and isn't interested in doing business with you, and all of a sudden you're asking them to schedule a meeting 2 or 3 days out from your existing interaction, that they might push back on you and say, oh no, why can't you just talk about this now? Those typically are surefire signs of tire kickers and time wasters. When people are unwilling to schedule an interaction with you or schedule a meeting a couple days out so that it's efficient on both your calendar and their calendar and you can both plan around it, these people are typically the ones that don't have a real project. And the reason for that is that they're just calling a list of names and trying to get a quick cost estimate from people. So by moving somebody from an unplanned interaction into a planned and scheduled interaction, by default, it's going to help you weed out the tire kickers. Instead of wasting an hour or 2 hours when you pick up the phone randomly for somebody that's calling you and asking you for business, you're talking to them for no more than 5 minutes and you're trying to move them to a place in your calendar that's more efficient for your schedule and something that you can prepare for and count on. Now, it's possible that these people that are not willing to schedule meetings with you are going to be time wasters and tire kickers. The reason that this part of your process to only take 5 minutes, to spend 5 minutes with somebody on the phone and then try to schedule your next interaction, is just by trying to schedule an interaction with somebody and seeing if they're willing to spend more time with you in 2 or 3 days is a great way to weed out time wasters. Because the people that are not serious are not going to schedule meetings with you. It's better to waste 5 minutes with somebody than 2 hours of your time. It's better to find out quickly if this person's going to be a time waster or not, and this very simple part of your process is going to help you weed out those people. Now, I'll get more into this in a little bit, but even if you have inbound where people are calling you or outbound cold calls where you're actually calling and trying to stir up some business, in both cases, your objective is always going to be to schedule your next interaction. And we'll get into that a little bit, but your scripts and your responses, everything that you do in that first interaction is to move into your scheduled interaction. Another benefit of your cold call's primary objective to schedule your next interaction is going to be that it creates a level of professionalism between you and your prospective customer. It's going to equalize the playing field. One of the things that I like to say in my cold call interaction prior to us scheduling a meeting, or if there's any pushback for scheduling your next interaction, is to simply say, we're going to create a series of planned and expected meetings where we're going to discuss your project. I don't like to play phone tag. I don't like to chase you. I bet you don't like to chase people either. I like to create a series of events that we can both count on and that waste as little time as possible. In this way, everyone makes best use of each other's time and everything that we do together will be planned and expected and we can count on each other showing up for these meetings. Now, typically, in your cold call, when you're scheduling your next meeting out, you're going to typically want that to be 3 to 5 days out. So try not to schedule meetings the next day or the day after that, because usually what you want to do is you want to create a little bit of space between your first interaction with somebody and your second interaction. And we'll get into more specifics around that later, but one of the reasons is that you want to be able to have some time to do preparation and make sure that you know what you're doing when you're going into your first scheduled interaction.